The celestial wanderer had been Sari's home for 3 months now, ever since the diplomatic mission to the Krithax homeworld had concluded. As the human xenobiologist assigned to the first interspecies cultural exchange program, she'd expected challenges. What she hadn't expected was adopting 2 Krithax cubs. Well, adopting was a strong word. Nock and his sister Vera had simply decided that the strange, soft-skinned alien was now their responsibility. The Krithax were apex predators on their world, 6-limbed, scaled creatures with obsidian claws and bioluminescent patterns that flickered across their hides to communicate emotion. Adult Krithax stood nearly 8 feet tall and could tear through starship hull plating with their bare claws. They were fearsome, efficient, and utterly devoted to protecting their pack, which was why Nock and Vera's behavior towards Sari baffled the entire crew. The cubs, barely a year old, and already the size of large dogs, followed Sari everywhere. When she ate, they sat at her feet, their luminescent patterns pulsing with contentment. When she worked in the lab, they watched the door, low growls rumbling in their throats at anyone who approached too quickly. The ship's captain had joked that humanity's first contribution to galactic society was becoming glorified nursemaids to the galaxy's most dangerous predators. Sari didn't mind. She'd grown fond of the cubs, even if their protective instincts sometimes bordered on absurd. Like today, the ship's water recycling system had been repaired that morning, which meant Sari could finally take a proper shower instead of the sonic cleansing units the rest of the crew preferred. She'd been looking forward to it for days: real water, real steam, the sensation of warmth cascading over tired muscles. She'd sealed the bathroom door, stripped down, and stepped into the shower stall. The moment water hit her skin, she sighed with relief. This was what she'd missed most about Earth. Not the gravity, not the food, but this simple, primal comfort. Then she heard the scrabbling at the door. "Knock, I'm fine," she called out, not opening her eyes. "I'll be out in 10 minutes. The scrabbling intensified. Then came Vera's high-pitched keen, a sound Sari had learned meant distress. She frowned, wiping water from her face. "What's wrong?" The bathroom door suddenly shrieked in protest. Metal groaned. Sari's eyes flew open just as the door buckled inward. Its locking mechanism no match for 6-limbed desperation and obsidian claws. Nock burst through first, his scales flashing crimson with alarm. Vera followed half a second later, her smaller frame nearly tripping over her brother. Both cubs skidded on the wet tile, their claws finding no purchase, before scrambling toward the shower stall. "What are you?" Nock launched himself between Sari and the showerhead, taking the full spray of water across his back. His bioluminescent patterns exploded in chaotic reds and oranges, the Krithax equivalent of screaming. Vera circled frantically, her keening reaching a fever pitch as she tried to reach Sari around her brother's bulk. It took Sari a full 5 seconds to understand. They thought the water was attacking her. "Oh no," she breathed. No, it's okay. It's not Nock. Move." But Nock wouldn't budge. He pressed himself against Sari, trying to shield her with his body while simultaneously attempting to bite at the water streaming from above. His jaws snapped at empty air, confusion flickering across his scales in pulses of yellow. Vera finally found an opening and pressed herself against Sari's legs, her entire body vibrating with distressed chirps. The cub's scales had shifted to a deep purple fear mixed with determination. The water continued falling on all 3 of them. Sari started laughing. She couldn't help it. Here were 2 apex predator cubs, descendants of creatures that had dominated their world's food chain for millions of years, absolutely convinced that their helpless human was being assaulted by falling water and willing to throw themselves into harm's way to protect her. "It's called a shower," she managed between giggles, reaching out to stroke Nock's head. "It's not dangerous. Humans do this. We like it." Nock's head swiveled to look at her, water dripping from his scaled snout. His patterns shifted to confused orange. "Watch." Sari stepped deliberately back under the full stream of water, tilting her head back and spreading her arms. "See? It feels good. It's like rain, but warm. Both cubs went very still. Their patterns flickered between orange confusion and the slow-building green of comprehension. Vera tentatively extended one paw into the spray. She jerked it back immediately, then tried again. Her patterns shifted to curious teal. She looked at Sari, then back at the water, then at her brother. Nock remained skeptical. His scales stayed mostly orange, though hints of green began to appear. He positioned himself at the shower entrance like a guardian, close enough to intervene if the rain suddenly turned hostile but far enough to avoid the spray. "You're getting the floor all wet," Sari pointed out, though she was still smiling. "The captain is going to kill me for the door." As if summoned by her words, Captain Thex's voice boomed through the ship's intercom. "Sari, your children just destroyed a pressure-sealed door. Please explain." Sari looked at the two cubs, one cautiously investigating the spray, the other standing guard with drenched scales and fierce determination in his eyes, and felt something warm settle in her chest that had nothing to do with the shower. Humans had been afraid when they first encountered the Krithax, the galaxy's deadliest predators. Their reputation whispered across 100 worlds. But Sari had learned something in these 3 months that the rest of the galaxy hadn't quite grasped yet. Predators understood loyalty. They understood pack. They understood that the strongest bonds weren't formed through dominance, but through trust, care, and the willingness to throw yourself between your family and perceived danger, even if that danger was just warm water falling from a pipe. "Sorry, Captain," Sari called back, scratching behind Nock's auditory ridge. His scales finally shifted fully to contentment blue. "My kids thought I was in trouble. We're working on understanding human bathing habits." A long pause. Then, "The Galactic Council is never going to believe this." Sari grinned, watching as Vera finally stepped fully under the spray, her patterns cycling through delighted teals and turquoises. Even Nock was beginning to relax, though he kept one eye firmly on the showerhead. "Probably not," she agreed. "But that's what makes us human." And as the galaxy's most fearsome predator cubs learned that sometimes water falling from the sky was just water falling from the sky, Sari couldn't help but think that humanity's real superpower wasn't their resilience, their innovation, or their stubborn refusal to quit. It was their ability to make family out of anyone, even the creatures who thought rain was a mortal enemy.